Hello and welcome. I can see people starting to come in. Let me just tweak where my camera is a little bit. There we go. And I'm just deciding whether I want my hoodie on or I want it off because it's a little bit chilly this morning in Aberdeen, where I am by the sea, my motorhome. It says 12 degrees here on the computer. It's probably about right. I think it was probably about 9 when I woke up. Great August temperatures we're having in the UK. Dearie me. Maybe we're going to have an Indian summer. We call it an Indian summer here when we have better weather or a sudden remembering, I think, by the weather that there was supposed to be a summer at all. And we get a bit of nice weather. So please do say hello and let me know you can hear me and see me. I'm just moving my keyboard because it's kind of in the way. Let me know you can hear me and see me. And all is good on that regard. I seem to have, I'm getting a signal from Insight Timer that I've got excellent signal, so it should be all fine. But the other day, my microphone wasn't plugged in properly and nobody could hear me. So, oh, good morning, Eleanor. I can see you already, unless somebody else has. Morning, Eleanor. Do let me know if you can hear me okay. And the cut off, but no rain at the moment, although it did rain yesterday evening and this morning. I'm feeling really quiet today. Hopefully you can hear me fine, even though I'm feeling a little bit quiet. Morning, Judy. Lovely to see you. Do say hello in the comments. And my voice is a bit croaky today as well. I'm not sure why. I do have a little bit of reflux in the night sometimes, so it might be that. So I'll have to keep sipping bits of water to keep my voice going. So welcome to this session. I'm a bit dark as well, aren't I? But that is because it's raining again. It's suddenly gone really dark. It was bright a few moments ago and now it's raining again. Anyway, it is the nature of life, I think. So yeah, I'm just gonna wait a little while, I think, and let people come in. Where am I, Eleanor? I am in Aberdeen. Would you like to see my view? My view is quite nice, actually, despite the rain. So it's a lovely place to sit and be on my computer, which is what I'm going to be doing most of today. So I had a lovely quick discovery call with somebody yesterday who signed up, and we're starting work today, this morning. So that's straight after this. I will be finishing this very promptly at 9:05 because I'm talking to this gentleman at 9:10. So it's a man. It's really funny actually because I do mostly work with women, but every so often I get men going to work with me, and I work with human beings. It just happens that a lot of what I say appeals to women. Oh, probably because I am a woman. I do know one coach actually who's a woman who specifically works with men. She kind of has decided that's her sweet spot. She likes to work with men. So, but I think I can relate to you gals better, I think. I don't know what accent that was. Let's just forget that happened. Yeah, it is a beautiful view, Eleanor. I could just kind of sit here and we could just all sit and just look at the sea, couldn't we, and listen to it? Because I can mostly hear the rain now, but you can hear the sea a little bit, because it is beautiful here in Aberdeen. So that's the North Sea. What's over the sea from there? Like Sweden or something? I don't really know. What is over the sea from Aberdeen? I'd like to know. If you're just coming in now, we're just kind of gradually getting started because I don't like to get too much into the swim before we're giving people a chance to get here. So over the North Sea from Aberdeen is Denmark. If we go straight east, Denmark is there. Not that far away, actually. Well, I mean, probably today it would feel like a long way because I don't imagine that sea's very flat. It does look quite flat, but oh, the sea and me. Anybody else like boat? Anybody like boat travel? I'm not good with boats. I tend to be sick. Just not good with travelling, generally speaking. Actually, I'm all right in the motorhome, but I'm not so good with other forms of travel. And I'm so glad I put my hoodie on because now I'm having a hot sweat, so now I'm going to take it off again. So bear with me. I'll put my clothes on and take them off again. Yeah, the joys of midlife, eh, ladies? I don't have that many hot sweats now, but I do have a few. So it feels like we're quite slow to get. You wish you were my neighbour. Well, why are you cold? You mean sitting and looking at the sea? Yes. Well, I have a lot of neighbours actually. This is just the road that goes across the front of the sea in Aberdeen, and it is full of motorhomes and camper vans. It's really busy. Some look more permanent than others. There's quite a lot of people coming and going. It's just a place to stay. Oh well, bless you, thank you. Yeah, it's lovely here. So I do have a lot of neighbours. Sometimes when we're in the motorhome, we're kind of all on our own, but here, quite a busy little spot for motorhomes and cars, as you can probably hear, but also like people walking their dogs and runners and things like that. So let's just do a little intro. Who's new here this morning? Who's not been to one of my sessions before? I think I can see some new icons at the bottom, and I can see some familiar ones too. But yeah, let me know if you're new here, and what brought you here today. Oh, Candice, hello, lovely to meet. I thought I didn't recognise your icon at the bottom. And Will, you're new. Yeah, what else can we wish for but peace of mind? I would say that everybody wants that, don't they? But the trouble is that it's really the seeking of it that creates a lack of it, which is a bit ironic, isn't it? Because that's not what we're mostly being told. But in this conversation with me, you will not be being taught any tools or techniques. I will not be taking you into the past. I will be nodding to the past as a creator of our way of thinking and our belief system and things, but I will not be, we won't be trawling through it. We won't be poking around in your past wounds, which I don't really think are there. But we will be talking about how your experience is created, and we will be discussing something called the 3 principles, or the inside out understanding. Now this month, which this is my last session this month, I'm not doing one tomorrow. I really must get my head into my assignment tomorrow morning. That's the mission. Somebody want to check up on me and make sure I actually do that. That'd be great. So I'm gonna be doing my assignment tomorrow. So I'm not gonna do any session. I've got a busy afternoon, but I'm going in the morning. I must focus on my assignment and get that done. And for those of you who don't know, I'm doing a formal coaching qualification. I've got other coaching qualifications, but I'm doing something a bit more structured. And seeing really that the qualification I'm doing is called the Institute of Leadership and Management Coaching and Mentoring Level 5. And I am really seeing that I'm a mentor, I'm not coach at all. So I see myself as a guide on your journey of life. And really, I see my role as to just help you have a nicer experience of that journey. The journey itself, not where to get to, not focused on massive things in the future, or the past will, bless you, but focusing on your moment by moment experience and helping you to have a better version of that. So bless you, Will. You won't be the only one here who can't sleep because of the thinking about the past or the future. And in that regard, what I'm pointing to is this Eckhart Tolle quote, which is the moment you notice, the moment you have the awareness, really, or he says the moment you notice that you are not in the present moment, you will naturally fall into the present moment. Good morning, Wendy. I see you there. I'm starting to recognise people. I feel like the head teacher again, trying to recognise all the kids, what their different like hairstyles or which class they're in, or oh, is that so and so's brother? So I am starting to get a handle on your icons, and I know that Wendy Wendu's picture for the dog was taken in Aberdeen. Go figure, and that's where I am now. So that is just so cool, isn't it? Just like I feel like our universes are colliding, Wendy. I think. So I won't be teaching you any tools or techniques. I won't be giving anything extra to do because, my God, don't you have enough to do? Are you not all plate spinning, ball juggling, busy people? And and today we're going to talk about balance, but this conversation is one to listen to more, if you would like to not be overthinking quite so much, because it has a natural consequence. This conversation is that we overthink less. So I'm known as the Queen of Calm. My name's Claire Downham. I'm a life guide. I don't know what I am anymore. I was calling myself a human potential catalyst, but I think I'm a life and business mentor. I think that's what I'm going to call myself, and I help you to have a life that's powered by calm rather than powered by stress, anxiety, and overwhelm, which seems to be the general message out there, isn't it? That's just how life is now. Life is busy, and you should be busy, and when you're busy, you should be stressed out, overwhelmed, and anxious. Well, no, I'm busy. I've got a lot of appointments today. So after this, I've got literally back to back appointments. So straight after this, I've got a session with somebody, and then another one, and I'm just literally, my next proper gap is at 1:30. Hopefully I'll eat something. So I have got a busy day, but I don't feel overwhelmed by that. I don't feel stressed out by it. I feel okay, because you don't have to be stressed out, overwhelmed, and anxious just because you've got a busy life. But you also don't have to have a busy life to be okay. Also, and this is perfectly leading into our session today, and we're going to crack on with that. So the session title really was a session title that I came up with because people understand this concept called work-life balance. And I was going to look up this morning, when did it all start? But I believe it was first mentioned in the 80s. The whole thing, the whole concept of work-life balance was first invented, shall we say, or come up with in the 80s. So I don't know what was happening in the 80s, apart from lots of busyness probably was really coming into the fore in the 80s. I think people were a bit more chilled in the 60s, and maybe it was ramping up in the 70s. And by the 80s, life was very kind of, the first big phones came, didn't they? And there were people rushing about, and that rush. And so maybe that's when people started to go, oh, we better make up a new thing. Now we've made up all this busyness that we think people are supposed to have. Let's make up a new thing. Let's make up work-life balance, and encourage people to have that be another thing to do, to manage, to keep on top of. And I guess that's where it probably started. Now, this is how I see how it's spoken. Well, first of all, the phrase is work-life balance. And I like to put life first and work second. So even before I go on to my next part, I would always say life-work balance, like life first. I don't care it doesn't sound so good. It only doesn't sound so good because we're not used to hearing it. But life first, work second. Your work is part of your life. But your life is the whole thing, isn't it? And work's just a piece of it. So, you are alive, and therefore your life, your aliveness is what's the whole view. However, I don't even like the word work-life balance, because it sounds like, so I actually looked up on Google this morning, and if you listen to this, or I'm going to dissect this a little bit. What does work-life balance mean? Healthy work-life balance returns to maintaining a harmonious relationship between work and personal life. It involves consciously managing your time and energy to meet both professional and personal commitments, whilst prioritising self-care and well-being. It sounds like really hard work. Does anybody else, like, when they consider their life and work and the balance of it, think it's actually proving to be quite hard work? Like, it's a lot to think about and plan and organise. And I used to think that that's what I must carve out. I mean, and phrases like maintain a harmonious relationship, that sounds like work to me. It sounds like control. It sounds like something else for me to do. And it also, to me, sounds like we're going to put balance in one corner of the room and work in the other, in the boxing ring, and then we're going to see who wins. And it isn't, to me, like that when we're in the present moment. What is balance about? And that's why I kind of prefer integration, but I think balance as well. Like, let's talk about the origins of the word balance. Like, the origins of the word balance is I'm making a cake in the olden days, and I've got the brass, the brass scales, the the ones with the little buckets on the bottom, and they balance out. And I've put my 100-gram weight on one side, the little brass 100-gram weight. That's on one side. I actually used scales like that at school. They probably weren't metal; they were probably plastic. But I remember teaching with them actually. And then we want 100 grams of flour. So we in the moment. This is all in the moment. We just put in a little bit of flour on at a time, aren't we? Oh, and then the next spoon we put on, that just takes it over a bit. So we have to take a little bit off and put a little bit on. And eventually we get to the point where it's balanced. Now, if I sneeze like that and I blow a load of the flour off, then I'm going to have to put a little bit more on again. If my child runs in and knocks the scales and knocks a bit off, I'm going to put a bit more. But in the moment, my aim in the moment is to get those two scales to be level with each other, to be to be level with each other. And that might mean putting a bit on and taking a bit off, and putting a bit on and taking a bit off in the moment. So I get to the point where I've got my flour, the right amount of flour for my life to make my cake that I want to make. It would be almond flour in our case, because we try to do a bit of low carb. My fiance makes this amazing brownie actually out of almond flour. Oh, it's just to die for. It's a bit too nice actually. You start eating it, you don't want to stop. So that, that's the origins of the word balance in the first place. It was very much in the moment. You can't create balance across a long period of time. It's too much for the head to manage. It does end up with it being consciously managing your time, being like really trying to control it. And maybe as a result of that, saying no to opportunities or things we might like to do because we think we know what the balance looks like, and actually we don't, because our brain is really rubbish at trying to look in the past and go, well, we didn't work enough hours last, unless we're actually keeping a methodical log of it, which most of us are doing, and then looking forward and going, oh, well, is that going to create, like, it's too much. It's too much. I don't think that's helpful to have this rigidity around our lives like that. However, I think it's helpful to look in a direction towards the present moment and how your body is doing, and checking in with yourself. Hello, Jeremy, welcome. And checking in with yourself, with your body and what it's telling you, on a moment by moment basis. And the more quiet we get in our heads, the more we can do that. And of course, if we're trying to control things, we're doing a lot of thinking, and we're not really in the present moment because we're doing a lot of thinking, and so we're not really in balance because we're not in the present moment. So let me just describe how that looks physically in my life right now. So today I've got a busy day. I've got, I think, about 6 appointments today. Um, and kind of when I looked at that, I thought, oh, I really do want to get this assignment done, this next chunk of my assignment for my coaching and mentoring course. So tomorrow, I looked at my diary tomorrow morning. I saw it was empty. So I've actually closed it down, so nobody can book a session tomorrow morning. So that means tomorrow morning I can get on with doing my assignment, which is what I really want to do. Other things are things like, I am not adverse to lying on the sofa and watching a bit of telly on a Monday afternoon, an officially working day, because I don't feel very well, or because I'm not okay in some way. However, I do sometimes wake up on a Sunday morning early. Bruce is a little bit more of a sleeper than me. That's an understatement, actually. I think he must sleep like probably about 10 hours more than me a week. And while he's snoring away, actually he doesn't really snore now because he wears this ridiculous contraption in his mouth to stop him snoring, and it does work, which is better for me, I have to say. Anyway, so Bruce is snoring next to me, and I'll get my laptop out and I'll do a bit of work. It's okay to do that. It doesn't mean I'm out of balance. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with me. It doesn't mean I'm doing something that's not okay. It means that in the moment I wake up, I feel fresh, I've got ideas. Sometimes I lie in bed and read, if that's what makes sense in the moment. But quite often I think, do you know what, actually, I'm ready. I've got this, I've got some ideas for my assignment, or I've got some ideas for what I'm going to do on Insight Time, or I've got an idea for a new course, or there's something I just want to write down, and see where it ends up. I guess you might, I don't know if I call that journaling. I just want to write something and see where it ends up. So it's all, navigatable in the moment when we listen to our body and what our body is telling us, and we understand how to read our body. So another example of that is, I'm sitting here talking to you, and let's say I notice that my back's a bit twingy. Well, first of all, when I finish this session, I might stand up and move around for a bit, but I can't do that right now because I'm talking to you. But I might take the blanket and just, put it at my back here, just to create a bit more comfort. And yeah, I feel like I'm sitting up better now. I'm not slouching, and my back's in a better position. I've done a bit of Pilates this morning, so I do feel like I need to sit up straight. Does that to your Pilates, doesn't it? Because it makes you think about your body. I love exercises that make you focus on your body, like yoga and Pilates. But even like some of the weight training stuff I do, the resistance training and stuff I do, which you need to do in your 50s apparently, that also, I find myself noticing my body and noticing if I'm doing the actions right and how that feels and stuff, because I'm much more present now. So I think what we've created, like a lot of these other things in the wellbeing industry, what we've actually created is a monster in this concept of work-life balance. We've created something which is creating more for us to do. And let me know if you have noticed that too. If you have noticed that work-life balance has become another thing to do. That's a lovely message from Wendy. Thank you, Wendy. We has it become an extra job? I definitely used, so my history with this was, well, it ended up being just me having more things to do, because I had a very busy job, and I then tried to squeeze in a ridiculous amount of social life, which I thought was I misunderstood that was self-care. It was crazy drinking and partying and dating and all sorts of things. And I then burnt out because I was just doing far too much. But I think more recently, I have tried to create very rigid routines and rituals and been very strict with myself. And anything where we're over structuring life is taking us away from the present moment. It's like it's like us now are trying to hang. So we're trying to hang our future selves. We're trying to like control our future selves and not considering what wisdom might be coming. We're not trusting that our future self has wisdom in the moment to create this thing called balance. Now, I've called it balance in the title of the talk, but actually I much prefer the word integration. Life, work can be integrated into life. I love what I do. I love sharing on here. I love creating my courses. I love the assignment I'm doing. Everything I'm doing. I love doing. The only thing I don't like doing in my business is bookkeeping. Still avoid that. Still think I need to feel a certain way to do bookkeeping, I have to say, but the rest of it I just enjoy. And I had somebody actually message me on Insight Timer this morning. I woke up to the message, and the message said, she was talking about something she was doing, and she said, I'd written my previous message. I'd just said something about, I'm very focused on Insight Time, and I'm doing my LM level 5, and I'm very really enjoying it all at the moment. And she'd said, "Are you a workaholic?" And I had to kind of sit with that question for a minute. I don't know. Do I love what I do? Yes. Would I be okay without it? Yes. Do I need to do it? No. No, I don't need to do it. But I'm loving it at the moment, so why not carry on at and at the pace I'm going at, I am good at stopping. Like I woke up this morning to a message from a client. They sent it at 8 something. Well, phone was already down by then. My phone was already down, so I didn't reply, and didn't reply till this morning because I'm not, I switch off from work. I can leave it when I'm present and I'm with it and I'm full of the life of it, then I am with it, and it's great fun. So what else about work-life balance, or life-work integration, shall we call it that from now on? I think let's explore how it. Well, I mean, I'd love to hear from you now, really. Thank you, Will, for saying that my my voice is calming. Thank you, and my encouragement. Yeah, definitely. Hello, C. Lovely to see you. I am in my van. I'm in my van in Aberdeen, C, at the moment. Looking at there should be a rainbow, I feel, outside my window. I can't see it, but there should be a rainbow because it's raining and sunny and raining and sunny. Beautiful now, and then it's raining again, and then it's sunny, and then it's raining. So let's look at let's consider this from a 3 principles inside out perspective. I think a lot of us would say, I feel out of balance, or I feel like I'm in balance. And if we're considering something that is a feeling of being in balance, or a feeling of not being in balance, then just like any other feeling, like overwhelm, let's say, maybe overwhelm's the opposite of balance, I don't know. It's definitely on the other side of the coin, isn't it? Balance is a feeling, because we do say that, don't we? I feel imbalance, I feel out of balance. Or I feel like my work is out of balance with my life. But what if all of that is just an illusion created by thought? Well, not just what if. That is an illusion created by thought. And so let's go back to my example earlier when I said I wake up on a Sunday morning sometimes, and I open my laptop and I do some work. Now, I know for a fact there are people on LinkedIn For example, LinkedIn's the place really, or people generally in the well-being sector who would say that that was the wrong thing to do. They would categorically say you should have a day when you don't do any work. Cut off, keep it, boundaries, etc. Very strict, very controlled. That's your day off. Don't do any work. You mustn't think about your business. I mean, if you are a business owner, how the heck can you not think about your business? It's who you are. It's your entire existence. It's bubbling. I mean, I find my creative juices are just bubbling. They're bubbling at Sunday morning, and I go, right, creative juices, just hold your horses. You got to wait till Monday. Stay put. That's ridiculous. I am the infinite possibility of the universe. I don't know what day of the week it is. God doesn't care I mean, not God as in the fellow who apparently created the planet, etc. But just the energy of life, the aliveness that runs through us, doesn't care what day of the week it is, what time of the day it is, and what some coaching guru on LinkedIn has said about how you're supposed to have strict rules about when you work and when you don't work. There is no such thing as Sunday. There's no such thing. It doesn't exist. Time is made up by human beings. The fact that it is now 8:36 BST isn't even real. It isn't even real. It doesn't exist. It's just an illusion. Morning, afternoon, evening, days of the week, times. And that's why your aliveness doesn't care. So if my aliveness, when I wake up bright and early on a Sunday morning, I've had a lovely night's sleep, thankfully, and I'm full of ideas, I am not going to shut that down because somebody said you shouldn't work on a Sunday. That to me that's control, not balance. That's me trying to squash down my creative force instead of just letting it flow when it flows. And that might mean, like I said before, that might mean sometimes on Monday afternoon I have a sleep. So I love B's question. What about self-care? Well, to me, that is self-care because I am listening to my body in this moment and I'm feeling calm and centered and I want to do some work. I mean, work's just a funny word anyway, isn't it? I don't really see what I do as work. It's certainly not hard. I enjoy it. It's not. And I look after myself really well, B. Moment by moment, I don't know if you were here before, and I talked about, my back's twinging a bit. I'm putting a bit of a blanket behind my back. If I feel my feet are cold, they are a bit cold. After this, I'm going to go find some fluffy socks, which really should not be out in August, I think. It's not right, is it? The fluffy socks are out in August. But I will navigate through my day. So this morning, I got up, I've done a bit of Pilates. I chose Pilates. I have a little playlist of motorhome workouts, the ones that actually fit on a mat down the motorhome. I try, if the weather's half decent, I sometimes go outside and do some yoga or some exercise. But I generally there has to be space for these workouts to happen in the van because obviously the weather isn't always brilliant. So I've done a bit of workout. I've drunk some water. Possibly not enough yet, but I'm drinking water because my body's thirsting, because I know that's good for me. And, as I go through the day, I will eat a healthy lunch. I'll eat a healthy evening meal. I spend my evenings with Bruce, chilling out. Hello, Fanaz. We do look after ourselves and each other. But I think self-care has become another thing to control, it's another thing to do. It's another thing that I must schedule in. It's another thing that I must be in control of, that I must maintain. And I just don't know what's present about that. Because to me, the most important moment is now. And what do I need now? And today I've got all these meetings, but I do have a space at like 1:30, and I might actually make myself a little pack up, and I might make a little pack up and go for a walk at 1:30. I might eat my lunch while I walk. I don't know. See how I feel at 1:30. I might have a nap. Yeah, I'll use that time well, whatever I decide to do. It's watching out. It's back to that Eckhart Tolle quote, Eckhart Tolle, isn't it? I shared right at the beginning, which was the moment you notice you're not in the present moment, you will naturally fall into the present moment. It's the same with this. How much of a story do I have about what self-care is supposed to look like? The list of things you're supposed to, and the list of things I used to do. So I have definitely been through this ritualized self-care being when I was in my kind of self-help phase, when I thought I could make myself feel and think differently. So I did a lot of stuff. I had a very strict morning routine, which I did every morning. Literally, I mean, I kept a gratitude journal every day for about 5 years. I meditated every day for about 4 years. Like literally to the point of it being not obsessive, but very ritualized and very strict and very kind of on myself. Well, I never missed it. Like I meditated every day. The only day I didn't meditate was the day that my dad died. I had a few other things on my mind that day, but I did it and I don't meditate very much now. But and if I do, it's for the joy, not because I think I have to be different to how I am now. There's something that I share in the course that I've just created, the Sustainable Calm with the 3 Principles. I talk about I've completely forgotten the end of that sentence. That was really good. Yeah. I'll talk about living in a state of meditation. That's what it was. Yeah, that you can actually be in that state. Like I would say, like if I just take a breath now, maybe you can do the same. That state is available to us all the time. And maybe we don't need to do that many things to maintain that. So I would say, like in terms of self-care being, the things that I don't do now are the things that were for my psychological state. Because I'm just here now. I'm okay. And I fluctuate because I'm human, but I'm okay. I know my okayness is in here. It doesn't need anything else to extract it, or it doesn't need anything else to bring it in from the outside. Calm is not coming from the sound of the sea. It's not coming from a meditation. It's coming within me all the time. So I need to do less and less to get there, because there's nowhere to get to. I'm home already. And that's something that I'm seeing, I don't think you never see it thoroughly and fully, but I'm seeing it more and more. However, excuse me, like I just pointed out before, my body, I think, for me, and I know my body is amazing at taking care of itself, and it does guide me to what to do. Like this morning, Pilates made sense. Although I'm taking that one off my motorhome workout playlist, because there's a bit where you're supposed to kind of circle your legs around. Can't do anything from side to side because there's just no space. Probably do it on the beach, but I couldn't do it in the van. So I just trusted my wisdom and I did the Pilates this morning. And I eat well and I drink. I don't drink very much alcohol at all. Maybe once a fortnight or something like that. And I drink lots of water and I don't have too much caffeine. And I look after this because this machine is getting older. Poor thing. This machine is 52 and a half now, and Yeah, it's 52 and a half now. So this machine is getting older, and you know, I've always looked after this machine, but I now, you know, I take a little bit more care about it. Like I make sure that I do a few times a week, I do some balance work because I look at people, the generation above me, and my fiance's dad, um, Bruce's dad struggles to walk or stand up even now without falling because he's just stopped moving and he's lost all his balance. So I know that that's something to me that makes sense to just keep an eye on these things, watch where, you know, and that's present as well because I can start to notice, oh, actually, you can't really stand on one leg, Claire. So let's do some work on that. Let's get that back up to, you know, a better level because it's important as you age. So I think that what's important here is the moment. It really is. It's seeing that nothing out of there can make you feel out of balance. You know, and I speak to I spoke to a business owner the other day who's got a really busy spell on at the moment, and he was saying, oh, you know, I know it's just a spell, and he's very aware of it, and he's kind of noticed, right, there's a bit of an intense spell while I grow my business, but I am very aware of it. Now, that doesn't always work out. I think some people lose the plot with that and don't go back into balance, and then suddenly they turn around and their child's 18 and they've missed the whole thing, particularly for men, I think. So perhaps that it's worth now for this next little bit to explore the other side of why do we end up out of balance? Why do we end up really focusing on work over the rest of our lives and our relationships in particular? Well, I think that's very much the outside in misunderstanding. And it's a misunderstanding that I was well and truly stitched up by. I mean, obviously I did the stitching up, but the misunderstanding for me, which I grew up with, and I think most of us here are of a similar generation, that if we worked hard, really hard, because we're a hard-working generation, aren't we? Like, we worked really hard and we kept our noses to the grindstone, we kept going, then we would get to a point where we had all the things that you're supposed to have. So we'd have the house and the car and the career, and we'd have, you know, 2.4 kids and maybe a dog, and then we would be happy. Who else bought into that? You know, who bought into that idea? I think we all did, didn't we? Particularly, I think the younger people coming through now aren't quite as beholden to that. They want different things in their lives, and they're looking at work quite differently, which is fun for the employers. But I think our generation are hard workers. Hi, DM, lovely to see you. So what drives this? What drives life tipping towards more work than life, or a lot more work? You know, generally I think we are at work more of our working hours than we're not, aren't we? So we oh God, she did be. Don't, no, don't. You shouldn't put anything about her in the chat because you'll set me off. You know that we're driving to try and find a feeling. Don't worry, B. So I'm only joking. But yeah, bless her. So but the 80s were a lovely era of finance, but I think that's when it started, this drive, this well, I just remember growing up with it. My parents both worked really hard. I was encouraged to work hard. I worked hard at school. I was a good girl. I kept my head down. I was a good girl, also that. And there's the other layer of this for us ladies is that, you know, you can do everything. Now you can have a career and have a home and you know, do everything. You can work, goodness gracious, how many hours a week, and you can still have a family and, you know, just put your kids in childcare from 8 o'clock in the morning and to 10 o'clock at night. You know, that's ridiculous. Nobody does that. But I bought into that. I bought into that. And I think a lot of us did. And that's a story too. And and so what we have is this story of when I have X, I will feel Y. So we want to feel, I think Will earlier mentioned peace of mind. Let's say it's peace of mind. I don't think is anybody really pursuing happiness? But maybe it's a pursuit of happiness. But we go forward in life, and we are looking all the time for this. So this feeling of meditation that I was talking about with B earlier, this feeling of just, I can feel it now, it's just everything's okay. And really all it takes is a breath and feeling my feet on the floor. But if we think that feeling is in a car or a house or my career being at a certain point, or a certain amount of money in the bank, we will keep going in that direction, and we will keep going in that direction, and then we will burn out. Because this is what happens. We get let's say we want £100,000 in the bank, and we get £100,000 in the bank, but guess what? We don't feel any better, because of course feelings don't come from money in the bank. Just don't. And so we keep going, because we think, wow, well, it must be £200,000 in the bank then. I'll go for that. So we're working more hours. We're not spending time with our families. We're missing our kids growing up, and we are tired. And then we get £200,000 in the bank, and we still don't feel okay, because our feelings don't come from money. And we can keep going like that for the rest of our lives. And that is a direction that will take us away from balance, away from integration, where work begins to take over and life takes a back seat. And I see, obviously I spend a lot of time in the business community, and I see it a lot there. I see a lot of people just saying, I've got a client at the moment actually, although he's easing off. He's unfortunately been working with a financial advisor who's got him obsessed about his pension, obsessed about it. So he's working really, really hard now to put all this. He's not enjoying his money now, really. He does a little bit, but not much. And he's to plough all this money into his pension because he thinks he wants to retire at 55. Now, I know this man, and I don't think he does want to retire at 55. I think he'll go absolutely stir crazy. And in fact, a few months ago, I was at a networking event and I met this really nice guy, and I got chatting to him, and he said, he was talking about how he'd retired and now how he was starting a new business, because he was literally going mad and doing his wife's head in, because he was bored rigid. He likes being out and about working. He likes his life. He liked his life. And he realised very quickly that selling his business and retiring was not the thing that he wanted to do. If we're not in the present moment, we're living a lie. We're trying to get somewhere to feel something else, we're living a lie. But of course that takes us out of balance. It takes us very focused into our money and everything else. And that's not helpful. So B, do I live in the van? I live in the van for periods of time. So this session is about 18 days. I did another 18-day one in about June. So more and more so, the plan is a long-term plan, because my children are older. They're 23 and 21, but my son's little boy is 11. So we came away just over a week ago. And we had a few days. So my fiance travels work, so he's out at work today. He's working at an arena in Aberdeen and helping them set up for a big oil and gas piping conference or something. It sounds really exciting. Not. So he's doing that. So we travel for his work. So last week we were at a race course for a few days, and then we hung around York with my fiance's little boy. And then we dropped him off at home, and then we set off up north. So it took most of Monday to get here took us about 9 hours because we stopped. We don't rush, and you can't rush in this vehicle anyway. It's got lower speed limits than other vehicles, and also, the roads up here are okay, but they're not. There's a lot of single carriageway stuff, and yeah. So yes, we drove up here. Now we're here now till we're driving back a week tomorrow. We drive back um, to pick my fiance's son up again. So we only ever have a 12-day window when we haven't got his son, because we have him fortnightly. So it'll be time, but the decluttering's happening. Downsizing definitely be. We have talked about, when we've got rid of a lot of the clutter, that we might well rent the house out and move into a much smaller property, like a flat or something. That's still a possibility, but we shall see. 80s concert sounds brilliant, DM. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I can be anywhere. I can be here looking at the scene in my motorhome. I can be anywhere in the world. So eventually I will be. Oh, that's good, DM. That sounds great. The trucks with the kind of pop-up tent thing. Very good, very good. I'm not sure I'd want to be a pop-up tent today. It's pop-up rain today. It's literally like it keeps sun shining, and then the rain comes, and then it sun shines again. And I still don't have a rainbow. It's a bit of a disappointment, really. There's no rainbow. So there's a couple of things we've covered off today. We've talked a bit about, balance. The whole balance thing is an illusion. Oh, you're in New Zealand, Bea. Lovely. I'd love to go there and potter around in a camper van or a motorhome. That would be lovely. Yeah, so we've got this idea that balance is, well, it's just an illusion. It's just a feeling, isn't it? Like I can be busy and feel in balance. I can miss my exercise one day and I'm still feeling balance because I've not got a story. It's the story, folks. It's the story about what that's supposed to look like. That's it. It's just a story. And we don't need the stories to live our life from a place of balance, because that's an in the moment thing. And in the moment doesn't have a story. No story. Just the moment. And and the other side of it is that if we are saying it, listen out in your own thinking for this equation, and it applies to the actual balance thing. When I have X, I will experience Y. When my life looks like this, I'll be balanced. Or when I've got this much money in the bank, or I've got this promotion, I'll be balanced. Or I'll feel peace or whatever. Like for me, that was burnout was absolutely the result of that. I was trying to do a lot of different things in the outside world to try and feel okay. And eventually had a lot to do and a lot to think about. So I couldn't sleep because my head never ever shut up. It was just at it. It was like rattling the whole time. I probably was extremely anxious, although I would have never said that. But yeah, I probably was extremely anxious, very, very stressed. And I eventually just crashed and burned. But it's anything. Listen out in your own thinking for this. When this is different, I'll be okay. No matter what it is, whether it's if this feeling goes away, I'll be okay. If I do enough yoga, I'll be okay. If I do enough meditation, I'll be okay. If I have enough money in the bank, I'll be okay. That's the outside-in misunderstanding. And it's potent and persuasive, of course, but it isn't the truth. And you can be okay right now. I like that, Bea. Yeah. But we don't, those are lovely words. Breathing in, I've arrived. Breathing out, I am home. But maybe we don't even need the words. We don't need the breath. I just think it helps me anyway to come back into the present moment. So that's my 10-minute warning for the client that I've got at 10 past. Do you know what, Bea? I have never Thich Nhat Hanh. Thich Nhat Hanh, is it? I have never actually read any of their stuff, so there we go. Yeah, I like that DM. Listen, for when I do enough, I'll be okay. But you really do feel more free when you surf. Yeah, you could probably surf here today, actually. The sea's getting quite lively now. I think they do surfing here. They do surfing. They do surfing. They do surfing here. I've seen the little surf shack thing. But yeah, I think you could probably do a little wave. But oh, I will have a look. Has it got some books as well? I feel like it has, hasn't it? It's yeah, you could definitely surf here. Oh, Sue, that's beautiful. Me too. Yeah. What helps me is to believe that I can be okay with not being okay all the time. That is the answer. Like right at the beginning, somebody said something about wanting peace of mind. That is, I would say that when I call myself the Queen of Calm, it's not because I'm calm all the time, it's because I don't care when I'm not. Because there's nowhere to get to, and I'm going to have a human experience because I'm a human being. Whenever I'm seeking for things to be different, this is surrender, this is acceptance, isn't it? Not by I will accept this, but just realizing that there is suffering in anything that isn't acceptance. I see it like this, life is doing this, life's doing its lifey thing, and there's me going, life should be a straight line, and why isn't it? Why is life like this? Well, and those two things then rub up against each other, and the friction between the two is suffering. Life doesn't give a damn whether you like it or not. It really doesn't care. But if life is doing this and you think life should be like this, you're going to suffer because you're going to feel the friction of the two. That's suffering, that friction, that's the discomfort that we feel over suffering in our bodies. I have not come across Ruben Lowe. Maybe I will look them up. I'm going to assume Ruben is a man. Oh, why do I have no pen on my pad? I'll write it here. Ruben Lowe. I do like to check out other teachers who are pointing in a similar direction. I shall have a look for him. Thank you, Sue. Do you know what, DM? I didn't feel comfortable driving my motorhome for a long time. I couldn't drive it to when we first got it because I had frozen shoulder and it was just not physically possible for me. But then my shoulder was better and I noticed I was avoiding driving the motorhome. I mean, Bruce likes to drive it. It's like a little trucker up there. He loves it. And then one day I just said, I'm going to drive the motorhome today. He was like, oh yeah? Yeah, I just think I need to. I'm avoiding it. Not that's my thing. If I don't feel good about something, I don't tend to feel anxious in particular. I just avoid. Avoid the feeling of anxiety because I don't even think about it. I just don't do it. And then when I drove it, it was absolutely fine. It really was. It's not, yeah. I mean, mine's fairly big. I don't know. I think they're bigger where you are, though, aren't they, Israel? I don't know where you are in the world, but I'm guessing the US. Yeah, I like that. The Tao is not benign. It's a so saying. Sorry, a Tao saying. The Tao just is. Well, you know, maybe you won't, DM, and maybe you'll be okay. But right now, there's just you wanting to drive the vehicle and then not doing it. So maybe look at that. Maybe look at that a bit. So, my lovelies, I am going to disappear off now and get myself ready to talk to this gentleman who I'm talking to this morning. I'll just have a little look at what we've got coming up. So we've finished the relationships, but of course you can still check out the course. So there is a course about relationships. It's got a ridiculously long title, but it's on there it is here, look, so they're all here, aren't they? Creating harmonious connections and enhancing relationships with the three principles. It should have been half that length. But I think I've got a better title, the shorter one, Sustainable Calm with the Three Principles. If you are new to the three principles, that's the first course I would do. And then in that course, it kind of points you to the other courses depending on the subjects you want to cover. So there is a course about relationships. There's one about procrastination, productivity, that kind of thing. There's one about revealing your full potentials. That's the most popular one, actually. And there's calm, balance, and clarity with ease. So there's 5 courses now. I don't know what I'm going to talk about in September on Friday. So on Friday, we're going to start a new series. I'm kind of putting them into a series now. So this is episode 1, the 3 principles way to sustainable calm. And on Friday, because it's the first one and it's the 1st of September, I'm going to just be really going back into the grounding of the 3 principles, like the real, like what are we saying about this inside out understanding, as opposed, and how can we start to see it in our lives? So it will be the fundamentals of the inside out understanding. That might be the title, in fact, but it will be all about that. So do you know what, B? They've just kind of materialised, really, and I've got into a little groove with them now. That it's one a month, a new course each month, and I'm seeing the benefits from that. I'm loving having conversations with people who come to me from Insight Timer. Oh, bless you, dear. I'm sorry to read that. It's amazing you've got an electric motor. I think that will be our next step if we don't want Trevor to hear us talk about replacing him, but eventually we might do. So thank you so much for being here today. I hope I'll see you on Friday. So Friday will be 1:11 p.m. I'm not doing one tomorrow, but Friday at 1:11 p.m. I would love to see you as we begin, like we go from scratch again, because like I've covered lots of subjects and I want now to just go back to the basics so that everybody gets a really good grounding in what I'm pointing to here. So lots of love. Have an absolutely fabulous day, and I shall see you all again soon. Take care. Thank you.